It's a sure thing. Change, change. Expect a miracle change. Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 do.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is from where you're coming from today. We are so happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today we have a wonderful show. We have a lovely guest by the name of Cheryl Driskell, who is a Unity Service Coordinator and a Sufi Elder Teacher. And before we begin, I just want to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. We acknowledge the importance of these lands, Mother Earth, we each call home. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral ceded and unceded territories of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people everywhere. And stumbled over that a little bit, but what's important is that we appreciate and honor them for their stewardship of the land. So we welcome Cheryl today. As I said, she is a Unity Service Coordinator and a Sufi Elder Teacher. She's had more than 35 years of exposure to this type of spiritual unfolding work. And today's talk will be an illuminating journey as we engage in exploring the many illusions we all carry about in life. And Cheryl, who calls herself C at Unity Ottawa, because we work together, myself at Unity Kitchener, and it's the two Cheryls. So she graciously said, call me C so we can distinguish who's who in the zoo.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's also the CEO of the Canadian School of Natural Therapies and Spiritual Development, which is celebrating their 10th anniversary this April. Welcome, 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 C.
Welcome,
Thank
C.
you.
Glad you're here.
Pleasure to be here. Excited.
Mm-hmm. So today we're talking about releasing the veils of unawareness, the illusions as ego attachments, and to expose those illusions that we attach to that keep us from unfolding to our greatest awareness and consciousness. So tell us more. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a profound journey. We hold on to a lot of ideas and opinions and attitudes, and we maintain them, and we hold so tightly that we don't want to let them go, and they block us from our advancement, right? We can't unfold with the oneness. We don't learn easily. We don't want to move forward. We get rigid. We get grumpy. We have argumentation all the time, whether in relationships. And it's because a part of us inside knows that we are ready to expand. But if we're holding on, and we're holding back because of all of our attachments, our beliefs of ourselves, our beliefs of others, these identifications that we have of ourselves, that I have to be this and I have to be that, and I am this, I'm superior, I'm great, I'm amazing, and all that stuff keeps us back. All these illusions of identification hold us back from who we truly are, right? In this oneness, in this vast universe, this web of connection that we all have. And so there goes the first illusion, right? That we are actually independent little beings, have no connection to anybody else anywhere. That's the first illusion.
Yeah,
And that's what holds us back. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
on my path, what I've done is I've tried to release the veils of unawareness. So how do you get to awareness? You have to release the unawareness. So the veils are these ideas that leave a kind of an essence, a kind of a wall, so to speak, around the heart. Okay, because it's from the heart that we actualize our whole being. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We think the brain is the main focus of everything, but the brain is a processing center for the origination of the oneness coming through the heart and through the fields around the body. And then the brain helps activate and work with those fields and the information coming from the heart. Because we know from the Heart Math Institute and the Sufis for thousands of years that everything comes to the heart first.
Mm.
So we want to release those ego attachments, right? These ideas of ourself, the idea that I need to have the best car, the best house, the best clothes, all this stuff. We release those. You know, it was the Buddha the Dalai Lama said out of his Buddhist practice, you know, that we have 5 main things we really need: food, water, shelter, medication, and meditation. That's it. He said, that's your main thing. Focus there, and everything else on top is an illusion of need.
Right.
Oh, I've got to have that. And what I really loved is that if you look at the world and you see how profound it is that we actually only need 3, we have 3 motivators for everything that we experience in this life. And the motivators are control. We want control. And the ego needs control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ego needs acceptance. When we don't have acceptance, we freak out. We become overwhelmed, right? And then the most important one is we need safety and security, right? So if you look at everything that's happening to you, you'll see that everything fits into those 3 categories. So why was I upset this morning? Well, let's see. Okay, I had a bellyache. I woke up with a bellyache this morning. And so what's at risk here? My safety and security, right? Because my body is crying out to me, something's going on. You've got to pay attention. And then I'm running around looking for the right clothes to put on so that I look okay when I'm here with you guys. There's my need for acceptance. I don't want to walk on with the ugly t-shirt that I've been wearing all week because I'm tired. So we've got all of these things that we do to ensure that we maintain the ego need. So it goes from beyond the 5 main basic needs that the Dalai Lama says to got to have more, got to have more, got to have more, because we need control, we need acceptance, and we want safety and security. And so if you look at the ego, period, everything falls into safety and security. Because what do? Why is the ego so strong? Because it's trying to protect the body, right? So body needs shelter, the body needs food, the body needs water, the body needs medication, the body needs some form of communication, etc. So really, that keeps us safe as humans. So the ego is essentially a protector and a creator, a maintainer of the body, right? So anything beyond that is when we really start adding to the illusion that I have to have this, I have to have that. And so for instance, here's a good illusion for you. So illusion is like a wrong perception. And it's a wrong perception that is defined by the senses. So when I see a photograph, that's my sense of seeing. I see a photograph, then I create an idea in my head that everybody in that photograph looks happy. They're all happy, they're all smiling. Little do they know, grandpa behind the camera saying, smile. Right? So they all look happy. So my illusion is suddenly, family's really happy. Isn't that great? They're such a happy family. But in truth, they're not necessarily happy. Just grandpa's like the strongest guy in the room, and he's making them all smile. So this is just a simple illusion. But then we get to the big illusions, right? The ones that divide humanity, that create war, right? Those are the big illusions, that you don't matter because you're separate, you're unique, I'm unique, I deserve the power, I deserve the money, I deserve the control. And that is a profound illusion. the illusion of separateness, right?
That's the big
Yeah.
And that is just, that doesn't work for us. So when we let go more and more of these illusions, we start to realize that we all are, and we know this at Unity, we are all connected,
Yeah.
right?
We are one.
And that, yeah, exactly. And that the next solution is that there's an essence through everything everywhere, this power through everything everywhere, right? We see the illusion that God is separate from us. God watches over us. Again, another illusion. Then we know if we're interdependent, interconnected rather, we have I call it the codependability, because I don't like the codependence. If we're codependable, we won't have the difficulties of life. But that this one essence through everything everywhere makes us part of God, the oneness. And again, that's another illusion people have, is that we're separate. God is just watching over us. And so there's two main illusions that make this world struggle. And when we let go of those illusions, we start to see how profound we really are as beings. And then there's layer after layer after layer. So you have to think of it as an onion. So we are like an onion. Okay. There's thousands and thousands of layers. This is a big onion. And at the center of the onion, they call it the diamond within, right? That's our essence. That's our divinity. So what we want to do is, when we're young, we build upon that diamond, and we build all these illusions. And by the time we get to a teenager, we're starting to challenge those illusions, and we get really grumpy and nasty with our parents and everybody around us, because we're challenging all those illusions. You can't think that, you can't do that. Why do you do that? And these kids, they're kind of on the money, but we're saying, no, but you got to follow our illusions. Do it our way. So, and then at another age, they become independent from the family, and they start challenging their illusions or adding new ones. So the onion goes small and big and small and big. Now, when you get into the spiritual work and you start meditating and you start looking at, what am I attached to that I can let go of today, or that I can dissolve? I call it dissolving the ego, dissolving it, because you're not battle it. You want to have a communication. You want to have a conversation with the part of you that is in attachment, and allow that to fall away. So I have this breathing technique where I'll breathe in the word rising, and then I'll breathe out the words, I allow, I allow, I allow. And so when I'm in a difficult moment, driving through traffic, or in a room of people who are acting out in one corner, and I don't want to have to deal with that, I'll start breathing in the word rising and the words, I allow, I allow, I allow. And I make myself free of my ego attachment in the moment. And suddenly everything around me starts to enter flow again. Right? Everything, and that argument over there doesn't affect me. It just goes right by me, like I'm on a train. So when I'm dissolving the ego and those illusions around my diamond, that big onion, I'm actually going, in my work, I'm going into the heart. Okay. Now, the heart is a fascinating center, and I'm talking literally, I'm going in through those valves. I'm going into the chambers of the heart. I'm doing the walk, and it's the walk of the heart is a walk of love. Right. And I go to the original core, the original essence of all that is, because if you go through the heart, which is the original beating organ that sustains the human experience, then there's no more illusion that that can affect us. So, but I have ways to do this.
I was reading somewhere that the heart is now considered the second brain, and that scientifically they found that the heart actually has brain cells. I think that we are really discovering more and more just how spirituality and science are coming together, and what is the word? And affirming each other, right? Science used to be so written in stone. I mean, that's what I believed, right? If it was scientific, then there was nothing that could actually challenge it. Well, that's no longer the case, is it? Now
Well,
we're
when you
learning
look
about quantum physics, and we're
Yeah.
learning about, the heart actually being more than what we thought it was, just a piece of machinery that pumps blood. So it's so fascinating, these illusions. That again is the illusions we had about the body, the illusions we had about ourselves. That we think we are the mind. We think we come from whatever's going on in the brain, and now they're starting to even prove scientifically that that's not the case.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Exactly.
And what's interesting too, Cheryl, is that I think it was Paul Pierso who wrote a book about, he was a heart transplant surgeon. And what he found was after transplanting a heart into another individual, that individual was taking on the traits of the person whose heart, even to the point of one child that had been murdered. When her heart went into another child, that child had the memories of that, and they were able to solve the murder because of so
Gives me goosebumps.
yeah, we're looking at things very differently, but science is fascinating because it disproves itself constantly.
Yes.
know,
Isn't that fabulous?
It's like my daughter's taking chemistry and she goes, I learned something, and then I go in a week later and they disprove it all because something has evolved from that makes it no longer relevant. So I think spirituality is definitely a scientific thing. And what's interesting too is Newsweek magazine back in the, I don't know, sometime in the 90s, wrote an article. It was on the front page of Newsweek, Science Finds God.
Mm-hmm.
I have a copy of the article, and I kept it because I'm like, oh, I like this. So there are all these very spiritual, religious people who go, yes, I'm a scientist and I'm a rabbi, or I'm this or I'm that. And I have to believe in God because otherwise my science wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because we talk about God and we each give that a different meaning, right? So it's perception, just like Cheryl said.
Absolutely.
And I really do believe that we as human beings in our limited capacity, and where I say limited is I think that everything is so much bigger than we can actually comprehend. But we make God in our image instead of really exploring, what is going on, who is thinking the thought that I'm thinking, right? I've mentioned this before. I've been listening to Sadhguru, who I'm really enjoying, and he talks about basically everything is inside of ourselves. We see it as external, but it's all inside of ourselves. So even if somebody touches your hand, you think you're feeling their hand, but you're not. You are feeling a sensation on your skin. It's not their hand. It's coming from within you. I don't know how to explain it, but, I listen to this and I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing. And I'll just share one more thing. My dad used to say to me, and I think I've shared this before, Barbara, that he used to say everything is an illusion. He used to tell me that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I used to think, well, I really believe that I'm here to master whatever it is I came here to master. So I thought to myself, if everything is an illusion, then one day I am going to be able to walk through walls.
Yes.
I am going to be able to, do these things. And then I had this epiphany, I think, when I was, I don't know, in my late teens. And I thought to myself, everything is an illusion because no two people see or experience anything the same way.
Exactly.
So what's real?
The essence of us. That's what I loved about A Course in Miracles, doing the daily lessons in A Course in Miracles, because it is about looking around the room and seeing that none of it has any meaning. Like this
Mhm.
means nothing.
Mhm.
Whatever I ascribe to it.
Cheryl, I see you wanted to respond to
Well,
something.
Well,
Go
one of
ahead.
the most profound illusions is that we don't create our reality.
Yeah.
We create our reality.
Yes.
And
Right.
we are under this illusion that everybody around me is defining my life and my reality. And every day, every time I have a problem with someone else, that's their issue. You know,
Always.
I mean, we live with that illusion all the time, don't we? And
Yeah,
it makes us feel the
absolutely.
ego safe. Yeah, we're safe
Yeah.
because you're there, right
Let
there.
me
It's
blame
my
you
issue.
because I'm having a bad day.
It's everything is about the meaning that we give it, right?
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
we see, do, or hear, we assign meaning to.
Yeah.
And from that meaning, we react according to our programming. And for me, that programming comes from our environment, how we grew up, our experiences, and how we perceive those experiences, right? We will take meaning from that, which will then give meaning to the next similar experience. And so it's almost like a domino effect until we don't.
Well, it's just like if we go back to the Bible, which I don't, do too much with, but in the book of Genesis, it talks about, God says to Adam, whatever you name a thing, that's what it's going to be for you. Not for
Exactly.
everyone, but for you.
Yes.
And, that to me is one of the most profound statements, that whatever I call it, that's how I'm going to experience. Oh, this is bad. Okay, now I'm having a negative feeling or emotion, right? Like that whole idea of naming things, because we
Yeah.
do it constantly.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate this. I hate that. This is hard. This is difficult. What if
Yeah.
it's all easy? What if it's all lovely?
Exactly. And
What
I
if
think
it just is what it is?
it is. And I think we take the Bible too literally. I think if
Oh my
we
gosh,
really
yes.
looked at it and again gave it a different meaning, same words, but a metaphysical meaning, a meaning that really speaks to exactly what you've just said. It ties in with what we're talking about, right? And the
Yeah.
same, like when Jesus says, "Follow me," he doesn't mean, follow him like the Pied Piper. He means, live like me. What I can do, you can do.
Yeah.
And maybe even better, right? So we do. We take it literally, and there's just so much metaphysical meaning that we can learn from if we looked at it differently and gave it a different meaning.
Well, and for me, I just learned about the Bible recently, which was kind of exciting because I wasn't raised with it, so I didn't have to recover from it. But what's interesting was hearing stories that just changed it and made it is the evolution of humanity thrown into, however many volumes in that library, because it's a library, not a book. And just looking at how we process, how we go from, everything's about the physical to finally getting to the spiritual, which is, of course, in the New Testament with the teachings of Jesus. So it's like, we evolve that way for most of us. We journey along, we stumble, we fall. The ego's everything. And then we begin, as C would say, we begin to unravel our assumptions of all these illusions that are controlling our existence.
Peel away the onion.
Peel away the onion. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I love what you said, C, about
spiral dynamics.
Yes,
yeah, I want to learn more about that. I keep hearing that spiral dynamics. I really want to learn more about that. But I liked what you said you said something about focusing on the unawareness.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
So unawareness is essentially just the ego blocks. So we have to reach in and unveil our greatest potential, our great awareness. So the truth, believe it or not, there's small truth, there's big truth, but the truth can be discovered, but we don't know it. So as humans, we have all these illusions. We have to maintain the body. But the minute the body goes, we're still in that consciousness, and things unfold. Like you can do it in this life. So the Sufis did it in this life. They would walk, talk in their body, but they would go in to the as deeply as possible into the truth, because the heart is the original organ that contains the original creation. So what created us, and following the path of the heart to the truth, is why you're going to have a lot of individuals who see beyond the illusions. So there's like in the Sufism, we have 4 worlds, okay? And the first world is the densest world. There's not this gentle energy. It's dense, it's thick, it's like physical. And people don't care about other people, and they become, they're just not ready to evolve into that awareness of self. It's called the mulk, right? And then you move into the malakut, and then you get into this other more subtle energy where people start sharing relationships with others. They have a different dynamic. They start experiencing love. And that's when you start questioning your spirituality. You start questioning, what is life? What is this? And then when you get really good at it, and you're willing to do the meditation and the contemplation, and you're willing to ask yourself every day, who am I? Why am I here? Why did I treat that person this way? How can I do better? How can I do better? Because really, we know that throughout everything there is this oneness, but it's good, and there's grace. And if we unveil our ego needs and release them, we'll find that flow, we'll find the goodness, we'll find the health, right, that we know about at unity, and we will live that. So that's when you get into what they call the Jabarut, that world of awareness of yourself in relationship to others, where you are actually doing the work. And then the 4th world, which is in unity, we have the 4 consciousness, right? When you get to the verity world and you're in the oneness of truth with God, or the oneness, right? That's where you go in and out. You can't stay there too long, because the body needs sustenance, and we have to function as humans. But you go in and out, and you gather information, you gather the truth, and then you bring it back to your communities. And that's really what we all need to do, is as unity professionals, so to speak, we need to go in and do that work, and then bring it back to the community. So I see that my work at Unity is very similar to my work as a Sufi. They're very intertwined, you know, and they have the same stages of consciousness, but they're just written differently. And so unveiling ourselves to get to the lahut, or to get to verity at Unity, really is why we do our work. And we all share the same, most of us share the same values at Unity, are similar, which is why we're joined together. It's an energy connection. It's a thought connection, and we're driven to find the truth. And that's awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to mention it's the same at Centers for Spiritual Living, right? Because they're just like Unity. They birthed from the same place, from the same teachings, and one focused on the Fillmores and one focused on Ernest Holmes. But the Fillmores and Ernest Holmes actually were in the same circle and came to the same realizations. They just sort of went different ways, but teaching the same thing. And so it's really new thought. And that's why Barbara and I often talk about new thought and bringing it together. You know, we're all saying and teaching the same thing, maybe using a different book or different words slightly, or whatever the case may be, but it's the same thing. It's part of that one whole truth, right? The truth that we know on a higher conscious level.
And it's time for us to take a commercial break. Wow, this is zipping along really fast. We're going to go away for just a minute. You are watching Spirit Cafe, and our wonderful guest today is C, who's from Ottawa, giving us all kinds of information. I'm so excited about the Sufi stuff, especially.
Yes.
It's really hitting a chord with me. We'll be right back, so don't go away.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Welcome back. We're having a wonderful conversation with Cheryl Driskell, aka C. And oh my goodness, what excitement you bring with your knowledge and experience, because
Brilliant.
I can sense that knowing, it's like embodied in you, and that's when we really can be authentic and speak from a place of truth. So thank you, Cheryl.
I'm very interested.
Yes, go ahead.
Illusion, the illusion of death,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So she's just showing my website right now. That's thank you for showing that, Deja. So yeah, so the illusion of death is very interesting, because whatever we are, the essence of who we are, right, continues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? And here's an interesting thing, and the Sufis believe this. We talk about being humans, being a spiritual being, having a human experience, right? But the Sufis say that we are not yet human. And that's what we get confused on, because we're all happy with this, with the spiritual stuff, and it makes us happy to feel we're connected to this oneness. But the Sufis are saying, but you've never been human yet. Why are you talking about that when you haven't got fully in the body? You don't even know what it can do. You've just started. You're using 10% of your brain. You haven't engaged with spirit. Spirit is not fully engaged with the body yet, right? So you got all these people sitting there meditating, wanting to zip out and join the oneness, when the oneness is saying, no, I put you in the body. Get in, right?
Yes.
And this is an illusion that people don't understand. Live the body. You've got all these potentials. You can walk through walls. You do have wings. You do, so to speak. You can fly. There's things we haven't even touched upon in the human experience. So we've got to start talking more about living here. And I talk to myself every day about being happy, healthy, strong in my body here on earth as Cheryl Driskell, so that I can protect the body. I can keep it strong. I can keep it moving forward through difficult times, because we forget to love the body and talk about it and to really fully bring in the spirit. So, but when we do not have a body, there is still all of this, all that we've carried, all that we've nurtured and has been collected. There's collected awareness in the fields around the body, the living matrix. Okay, there's a book out there. Greg Braden did that book. But this is not new. This is a Hindu belief system, right? That all the fields around the body are our collective experience and the nature. And we just take the nature and then we add to it all of this life. And then when we leave out of the body, all of that still exists, right? In the fields around the earth, that everybody that's lived or passed is there. All that knowledge is there.
Yeah.
And we are not aware, because if we can't see it, we don't believe it. Another illusion That if we can't see something, it doesn't exist.
We're so
So
caught up
it's
in,
fascinating.
yeah, we're so caught up in trying to be perfect that we've forgotten that perfection is the reality of our existence. And we have a power within us as us that if we would just let go of all of the illusions you're talking about, we would be doing so much more. But we have conformed. And I think our education system has put us in a box going, here's what you have to do and how you have to do it and when you have to do it. And it doesn't matter that it doesn't work for you. You got to do it anyway, because that's the rules. And societal rules, of course, don't allow us to do what you're talking about, releasing that unawareness and becoming fully aware of who we are and our potential.
Yeah, but I love what you're saying. I love that. I'm definitely going to have to look into it more. You know, when I talk about the chakras, the energy points on our body, for me personally, I really believe that I'm not balanced because I live more in the upper chakras, not so much the lower ones, which is what you're talking about. You're talking about really, you know, being whole and complete here on earth. And it's not so much about connecting with the spirit, but it's more about connecting with who you are here and living it, enjoying it, and recognizing the power that we have. Because we have power, as we are made in the image and likeness of the creator, whatever that looks like. And I believe that we're made in that image and likeness because it means that we co-create or we create at the same time. So that's just fabulous. I love that. Wow.
There's a lot to take in.
You know,
And that
again,
we're-
Sadhguru talks about identity, right? He says he has no identity. And so that's part of the ego, is identifying, having to be this unique individual and identify as something unique. So it makes me think of that as well. That's where that ego illusion comes in as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, there was this woman in India, and she wrote volumes and volumes of books based on her study of every cell in the body. She went in, she had the capacity to go into the cells and learn from each cell. It's the origination. So she was, well, they call her the Divine Mother, and there's books out there you can see about the Divine Mother. And then you were talking earlier about walking through walls. Well, there was a teacher also in India. Her name is Deepa Ma. And in her 50s, she went off to be study with the guru. And it only took a year or two. She came back to her community and she could put her hand through walls. Right.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So, and she could stop a bus and have it, like she could stop time and reverse it. She could stop the rain if she wanted to get out in the middle, you know, of the day. It was very bizarre because she saw the illusions and knew that she created her reality. So I find that very fascinating. But see, the thing is this, you can't just do it. You have to prepare. If you want to live on earth, you have to prepare the body to release illusion, because the body is defined by our illusions. So if suddenly you're releasing all your illusion, you can make your body sick, right? You have to unveil illusions with certain practices to allow the body to bring about illusion without terrifying the body, without terrifying the systems of the body. As soon as you you de-identify, I don't know what the right word is, you no longer identify with certain ideas, and then your body goes into a shock. So that's why spiritual teachers have chanting, and they have deep breathing practice. If you don't do that, you could literally kill your body, right?
Wow.
I know of people who became healers, for instance. Healers don't always understand that they do healing work and they're moving into other fields of consciousness that are beyond their body to gather what they call healing energy. And you don't really need that really, but they do that. And then they open to a frequency that this body can't handle. And so suddenly they're sick. And at 1 year, I remember talking to another spiritual healer, a friend of mine, who was saying, yeah, this person just died, and this person just died, and that person died. All within a year or two, they were dying of heart attacks or strokes because they had opened too widely to fields of consciousness around the earth that they didn't have really the right to go into. The human has only so many fields that we should stick to those fields and learn about them and the body. And then we'll be wiser and stronger and healthier. Right? It's, but the ego need to be the best of the best sometimes sends people out instead of in. But you go into the body, you start talking to the parts of the body that may be out of alignment or out of flow today. And suddenly it's getting better. Like one of my friends has diabetes type 1, and she was losing a toe. It was for a year or 6 months or to a year. It was getting sicker and sicker. Couldn't heal the bacteria infection. And then one day she said, I'm going to love this toe. And she started loving the toe. And she started talking to it every day. And that toe healed. Right?
Yeah, the power of love is in it.
Oh, yeah. A commitment of my consciousness to focus, to being presence to that part of the body is crucial.
Yeah.
It's a loving commitment.
That's beautiful. And what was the name of the woman who could put her hand through the wall again? Deepa
Ma, Deepama. It's a book. There's a book you can get on Amazon, Deepa Ma. And interestingly, it was written by Buddhists from the Eastern Seaboard states. I think Sharon Salzberg and her community people put that book together. Yeah.
That's really
and guess what? They did a study that proved that she had different awareness. She lived a different identity. They did a study of that. She didn't have our illusions.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting how we allow the world around us and the people around us to control everything we think, say, and do. And what you're talking about is sort of letting all of that go and coming to a place of acceptance of what is, and then living. Oh, there's the book.
Okay.
Thank you, Deja.
Yeah.
Oh, it's DIP. Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much to read. So much to read, so much to do.
So we have to give up the illusion of time.
Yes. Let's stop time so we can just absorb all this stuff.
There you go. Because that's another
so important.
It's another illusion. We've decided this 24-hour clock is somehow real, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It changes. I mean, think about when you fall in love, for example.
Yeah.
It's like when you're with your new beloved, it's like time doesn't exist, right? You can stay up all night. You can function perfectly.
Nothing else exists, right?
Exactly. Like you're very present. And I remember years ago getting my nails done one day, and it's like 2:00, and she's just going to put the polish on, which we know takes 5 minutes maybe for a professional. And I have to pick my son up at 2:30. When I look at the clock after she's finished doing my nails, it's 2:25, and I've got almost a half-hour drive to get my son. And I'm like, how is that possible? And when I get out on the highway, there's a huge crash that I probably would have been in the middle of had I not been delayed by this weird time thing. So I was late getting my son.
Yeah.
He's a teenager, he was fine. But it was, just one of those weird moments where all of a sudden what we think is real, we start to acknowledge it isn't. Or in meditation, when I've stepped out of my body and I'm still fully me, it's like, well, then what is this? Right? Like, it sort of gives you a different perspective when you start to have some of these different experiences. You can view your life in a new perspective.
Absolutely. And the illusion of what is important.
Nothing.
Right? The pressure we put on ourselves because It's important. I'm important. I need to do this.
I need people to think
Yeah.
I'm important.
I need people to think I matter, right? Or value me.
And that's when and that's when we really learn to step back and just watch, be the observer. And then a lot of stuff falls away, right?
Mhm.
And, you know,
Yeah.
Reverend Barbara, something that you said about going to get your son too is the illusion that we are not guided, that we just use our brains all the time. We are so
Oh,
guided at
we
all
are.
times. We're being guided. And, you know, that oneness connection and that inner wisdom that we call intuition. And sometimes it's even bigger than that. It's the grace that guides us, the grace that stopped you from leaving that chair so that you would be
Absolutely.
safe,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it's always there.
Always.
Hmm.
Always. It's fascinating to think about because we get so judgmental, right? And again, that's all our ego stuff. It's like, well, I'm going to be late, or this is wrong, or that's bad, or why did this happen? I mean, even if we look at the last 2.5, 3 years with COVID and everything, and we're naming it all bad and terrible and awful, but really all it is what it is. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity for us to realign our thinking with a different set of values. You know,
Mhm.
you can't always get the same product, but
Mhm.
maybe there's something that's better.
Mhm.
Like, you know, you can't do all the same things, but maybe that's adding another layer of possibility and potential to your life and living. If we stop naming things bad and wrong and go, well, it is what it is, now what? And go more in the flow, I think that's a powerful place to be as well,
Mhm.
to just be aware that it just is.
Yeah. Just to be able to be in the
Exactly.
moment, to really be in the moment, and just trust that whatever comes next is the next moment to be in.
And it's for my best.
Mhm.
Like on my journey, this is taking me to my best possibility, potential,
Mhm.
whatever's happening right now is right and perfect based on my consciousness. I've created it.
Mhm.
And that's one of the biggest thing that
Yeah.
gets people fleeing from our teaching.
Mhm.
You're responsible for your life. And
Mhm.
people go, no, I didn't do this. Oh yeah,
I
want
know.
to bet? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the reason we've grown slowly, I think. It's because the idea of personal responsibility.
Mhm.
But it's such good news, you know.
Mhm.
The bad news is I created my current reality. The good news is I created my current reality.
Yeah, and the good news is I can change it.
I can change it because I
Yeah,
created it.
yeah,
He didn't create
Yeah.
it for me. I created it. So I
exactly.
don't need an
Yeah,
intervention.
yeah, yeah. That's something I got a long time ago. Is that nobody can do anything to me.
Exactly.
Nobody, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't. One can't say you made me do this. You made me feel like this. No, nobody can do that, right?
Mhm.
I have to be responsible for what I do and how I feel, because I'm the one that um, creates that feeling or creates that thought,
Love
or
it.
right, or feeds it even, right? Mhm.
All of
Well,
it
and
is
that's why we have to give
go ahead.
we have to give children more power because
Mhm.
they know their life, they know what they need to do, and then we say, no, you can't do that and you shouldn't do that. And these kids are just saying, but mom, when I go to school, there's all these kids picking on me and I want to change this. You send me in a tutu to do this and they make fun of me, so I want to do judo. and
Yeah,
and the mom's saying, no, you can't do judo. Right? That's you'll get hurt. Right. And the kid says,
yeah,
no, I know I need to do judo, but we're not listening to the kid. They know the
yeah,
reality. They know the illusions. They're trying to say, hey, mom, dad, parent, whatever, please wake up. You
yeah,
hear me out here. And, you know,
yeah,
I can tell you if I had more of that option and more discussion in my own childhood, I know that
Oh,
I would have had a better 20s.
yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Because I was unfolding in a way that needed me to build my strength. But instead I crashed.
Mhm.
Right? And so
That's
I knew I saw it coming, but I didn't have the words or the space.
Mhm.
And parents have decided that, they have to follow societal norms in order to create a child that is going to function in the world. But the truth is, we are created perfect, whole, and complete. And then it's the human beings who receive us from the womb who go and diminish that by putting us in a box that we don't fit in. I have 4 children, and my youngest one is getting the benefit of all this new wisdom of mine as she is exploring who she is and finding her pathway. And when she wakes up in the morning and says, I can't go to school today, I don't, I just don't have the capacity for it, I say yes and contact the school and say she won't be there. She's having a mental health day. And it's like honoring her space and her time. And even when she was born, and I said to her dad, like, if she ever says stop or no, doesn't matter what game we're playing or what we're doing, if she says stop or no, we stop instantly. I want her to know that her voice has power. And we've done that from the beginning. Of course, when she was 5, she said, you need to give me more freedom. Now she's 17, and I'm like, oh man, here we go. But it's a different way of parenting than what I did with my first 3. I got a little smarter as I got older, but letting them have a voice, letting them have an opinion, and honoring that. Or when I get called into the school because they say she did something wrong, I'll say, well, did you do this? Yes, I did. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Did you do this? No, I didn't. And the teachers will go, well, you can't believe her. And I go, yeah, I can. I do believe her because she knows there's no consequence from me if she's done something wrong. The consequence comes from the universe around her responding to whatever she's done. So it's a different way of doing things, but I think it's more empowering, and it's teaching me to be different.
Yeah.
Trying to get out of that box.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a lovely show as well, because I think about it and I think about, how do we do this? Like, I think about my grandchildren. I have 3 beautiful grandsons, and I watch my children, or my son, making the same mistakes. He's a lot better than I was. He really is. He's a lot better than I was. He's a wonderful father. But those things about, yes, stop doing that, or that's not okay, you can't do that, and those kind of things, right? And so how I can't say anything. So what I've been doing is I've been buying books for them, like from Wayne Dyer, and some sort of more of those kind of books to at least give them some of that teaching. And I'm really grateful that my daughter-in-law actually said, she appreciated it, that I really buy meaningful books for them. But that's just a small thing that we can do. Like, what else can we do to shift things so that we can become a more open, loving, giving, trusting society?
Well, and I think too that we choose our parents before we come in. That's my personal belief, that for whatever it is that is required for us to strengthen and to become truly who we are as individuals, to find that path to being human, I think we come in to the correct family to
yeah, for sure,
set us up for whatever. It's like the butterfly has to emerge from the cocoon to become all that it is. Right. And I think we have to, bust through the unawareness to become aware.
Yeah.
That's where our strength comes in.
The other butterflies can't help that butterfly coming out of the cocoon, or even transforming, right? It's got to happen on its own.
Your grandchildren have the perfect parents and perfect grandparents.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Cheryl, Cheryl, see, what do you think about that? That we choose our family.
Yeah, I think we have I think that we are intertwined in energy pushing and pulling. And so we are, the whole universe requires you to be a certain way, me to be a certain way. And it's not, I don't believe it is a conscious thing. I believe it's almost like a mathematical system of unfolding. And then when over here feels too thick and isn't moving, then this will come in and push it away and wake it up. And so that might be a new child. That might be a death in the family. That might be a new community. That there is there's an ongoing awareness greater than us that provides order. And that I trust that implicitly. I've seen it 1,000 times in my own life where I've been crying out for something profound to release a block, and then bang, 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 these things happen. I'm going, whoa, what was that? But I know to trust it, and I just let it be, and I just watch it, and I go along with the flow. Like, well, how did I end up at Unity? You know, I was studying at a Sufi university, and I'm going, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here, and I was thrown into Unity. I swear to God, it was just incredible. I was there, and the next thing you know, I'm a ministerial candidate, and it's like I did none of it. Like something through me.
That's how it works.
Got me there. Yeah. And I was thinking just the other day, I'm thinking, where am I going to get the money to pay for that divinity program? And then out of the blue, this guy says, okay, I'll buy your school. Right? Because I own this national school. And I was thinking I was going to have to take out a loan. And now I'm thinking maybe I'll be able to pay for my master's degree now. So it's fascinating, but I'm just listening. I'm always allowing the order to flow because I'm not in control. I think I am, but I'm not. And if we just start letting go more and allow that natural order, we'll see how magnificent the universe is, all that is. And yeah, it's very.
And how magnificent we are, right? How powerful, how remarkable, how beautiful every single person on the planet is. And that's a big learning. Well, we're getting close to the end here. Final words or thoughts of wisdom. See, do you have a final takeaway for people?
Be willing to do your own unveiling so that you don't get that, as Oprah says, one day you're going to get that brick back on the back of the head to wake you up. You don't need to go there. All you have to do is have your daily experience of listening to your inner wisdom and unveil your unawareness each day by doing release techniques, by doing, that denial work through Unity, or just doing the energy tapping or Sedona method, or I choose to let go of this, or I allow. Do all that work every day and your life just flows so much more easily.
Thank you, C. Cheryl, final thoughts, final words of wisdom.
Oh, I have none after that. But
All the good words were taken?
Oh my gosh, I'm just excited about what I've heard here today. Getting to know you, Cheryl, even deeper in an expanding way. And you have just created sparks in me. Like, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I want to know more. I want to do more. I want to see more. I want to hear more. Yeah, I just wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
You're
I
welcome.
Agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to have you
fun.
on my joy show, my Friday joy
Great.
show. So I'll send you an email and we'll find a day that would work. And if we have to pre-record, we can do that as well. But I would love to have you on that show. I don't even know what to say after all of this. I have written down your website. I've written down Deepa Ma's website, and I'm just really excited to further explore my own journey, of the unlearning, the unawareness, releasing it and moving on to something different. And Fiona just put into the chat, inspirational and contemplative as always. And we'll listen again to the recording. That says a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, Fiona, you're right on point there, girl. Well, this has been a delight. I feel like all the words that need to be said have been said. I invite each and every one of you to do your work, get into that body, live that human existence, and be the marvelous you that we know you are. Oh, thank you, C. You are truly a gift and a blessing. I am so excited to get to know you better. And my sister, Cheryl. Mwah, love you, darling.
Love you too, sis.
Bye, everybody. Have
Bye.
a wonderful week. See you next time. Be sure to share and subscribe.
Bye.
Change, change. You can do it. Change, change. It's a sure thing. Change, change. Expect a miracle change. Watch me change when you change the way you look at things.